Thank you for having me. My name is Liz Miller, and I use she, her pronouns. And I am from the Literacy Lab. The program that I work for actually has tutors that serve in pre-K and K3 programs where they provide tutoring services through an AmeriCorps program as well. So they're serving a lot like the Peace Corps. It's the domestic version. So they're providing a year of service. And for Building Bridges, I am going to be one of your presenters, which I'm very honored and flattered that I got the chance to do that. Yes, so I will tell you a little bit about how the idea came to my mind. I do a lot of training on effective read alouds and how to provide really high quality read alouds to young children. And a part of the training that we talk about is book choice. And one of the things that I've always said when I do this training is I wish I could just like really focus in on talking more about book choice. And so when this opportunity came up, I jumped on it because I'd love to spend more time really focusing in on book choice and the power that we have as educators when we're choosing books to put on our bookshelves that children get to see and hear each day, and books that we choose as our read alouds as part of our formal instruction. I was thinking about the title, which when I came up with disrupting bias through literacy, it's a little bit jarring to say disrupting, because when we think about disrupting, we're usually taught not to disrupt. And so when I thought about that title and ended up sticking with it, it was just because of the whole idea of really raising awareness of looking at books in a way that we want to change some of the narratives or provide alternative narratives for children that we might not even realize. Because so bias and implicit bias specifically is like asking a fish to describe the water. It's really hard to even sometimes identify it. And I think that's why having this opportunity to talk with educators and people who are interested in this topic, when you look at books, what I hope what will happen during my presentation is that people will start to think about some of the things that we might not have really even identified yet, because it's hard when you live in a system where like the bias is just in the air that we breathe, to help to start to unpack some of that and identify some of those opportunities, because there are so many good books out there that we can utilize. I am balancing this with like, I want to give people tools or provide opportunities for people to use tools that will help us get really good at that, like using that lens. And I also really appreciate when someone can share with me, like, here's a great book you might be interested in if you're looking at opportunities. Again, like I will also provide a list of books that might be something that teachers are interested in. And it could be teachers, anyone who's interested in learning more about children's literature. One of the questions that will be posed during the workshop for people to consider is, why do we have a hard time sometimes letting go of a book when there might be another book that provides other opportunities for children to see and hear different narratives? And we will get to reflect together, because when I posed that question when I was working on the presentation, I know one of my favorite books from when I was in high school was To Kill a Mockingbird, and it is still one of my favorite books. And I have built a new awareness towards some of the problematic themes in that book. And so thinking about how I would continue to use that book and what that might look like. What are some other authors and other books that would provide opportunities for people to see different and learn about different themes? So acknowledging that feeling of wanting to hold on to books that we know and love, and then making some decisions when you know that there are so many great books, taking a hard look at like, why am I reluctant to let go of this book, and acknowledging those feelings. And again, like that disruption is what I'm encouraging people to do. And disrupting is uncomfortable, and it can lead to hard feelings, and it's a process. So like, that's going to be part of us as we go through the presentation, like acknowledging those hard feelings around disrupting and change. Like when we want to change the status quo, it is uncomfortable and scary. And that's why the status quo is the status quo. Like that's why it is, because it's hard to change it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to encourage people to acknowledge those feelings and to keep trying to disrupt that status quo.